Chase Elliott endorses the full season championship format. Spire Motorsports looks to expand, but will have to downsize at the same time. And Denny Hamlin might have just signed his final contract extension. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talking NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. We are on episode number 25 of this 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. We have a couple stories to get to, including Chase Elliott and Mark Martin endorsing their idea of bringing back the full season championship format. And there's a new rumor going around that Spire Motorsports might look to expand it into a new series, but however, that will cost another driver's ride. But first off, yesterday it was announced that Denny Hamlin has signed a multi-year contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing to remain in the number 11 Toyota Camry, and this will keep him in that car for at least the next 2 seasons. Hamlin just off his most recent win at Dover Motor Speedway in overtime, so I can't see why. He must be feeling pretty full of himself for getting a multi-year contract extension. I was a little bit concerned about possible sponsorship issues, but there seemed to be a lot of blue in this post that I'm looking at right here on X, and he is in a picture of his Progressive fire suit. So maybe Progressive has signed on for a longer term contract to sponsor Denny Hamlin because he just brought them in, as well as King's Hawaiian, National Debt Relief. He still has Sports Clips as one of his most loyal sponsors. Coca-Cola, obviously one of his main partners. Yahoo is a full-on Joe Gibbs Racing sponsor. Interstate Batteries is there as well. So I'm expecting maybe Progressive is staying on with Denny Hamlin, just judging by this post, but we have not gotten official confirmation on that yet. But hopefully Denny Hamlin will continue to run very well over the next 2 seasons. And in his normal Denny Hamlin fashion, when he was asked by the media if this will be his final contract extension, he said, quote, "Probably, most likely," but he finished off with, "Who knows?" I know many people thought that this year would be Hamlin's final year in the NASCAR Cup Series because of all the sponsorship issues he was having. They were kind of looking at it the same way it was with Kyle Busch when he left Joe Gibbs Racing for Richard Childress Racing in the number 8 car after M&M's dropped him as a sponsor. After last season, FedEx, one of Hamlin's best sponsors and one of NASCAR's longtime sponsors, a blue chip sponsor, dropped Hamlin after their contract expired, and he was only able to sign on national debt relief for select races. Same with King's Hawaiian, and he pulled up to the Daytona 500 with a pretty empty hauler, and there wasn't very many sponsor logos. So, I mean, many people thought that, and despite him winning several races this year and last year, many people still thought that as well. But now we know for sure that Hamlin will continue racing beyond this season. He'll be 46 by the time this contract is up. And we know Kevin Harvick, the last driver really to retire, who was a little bit older than Martin Truex Jr., I believe. He retired at age 49. Jimmy Johnson's still racing part-time, and he's 50. Harvick, I mean, he subbed for Kyle Larson while Larson was qualifying in Indianapolis for the Indianapolis 500 in the All-Star race last year. Truex is making a select start here and there. He drove in the Daytona 500. So I expect, though, that if Hamlin does retire at the end of this contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing, if his team does survive 2311 Racing, and I think that Hamlin will probably make some starts in another 2311 Racing car. I think it'd be kind of cool to see. Maybe he'll make some Xfinity Series starts for Joe Gibbs Racing. He hasn't made an Xfinity Series start, I think, since 2023. I might have to check that, but I think Hamlin, I doubt that after this contract is up, he will be done racing forever. I think he'll still be running a couple races here and there. And this does lock in Joe Gibbs Racing full lineup for quite a while. You have Christopher Bell, who's been one of the best drivers in the last couple seasons. He is under contract, I believe, until 2027. Chase Briscoe, they just signed last offseason, or last year, I should say, to a multi-year contract extension. So he's locked up at least for one more year. I expect that will be for probably 2027. And then Ty Gibbs is Joe Gibbs' grandson. So, I mean, Ty Gibbs, he has pretty stable job security, I would say. So, Joe Gibbs Racing locks in their long-term plans with this new Denny Hamlin contract extension. We'll just have to wait and see how this all works out for Joe Gibbs Racing when it's all said and done. And maybe Denny can get his first championship he's been looking for. Now, moving on to the next story. If you remember from my last episode, you will remember that I talked about how Danielle Trotta, host of SiriusXM NASCAR Radio and on-air broadcast pit reporter, as well as TV host for some of NASCAR's races with Prime Video and TNT, as well as Larry McReynolds, who is America's crew chief, who works for Fox. He's been recently working for TNT on True TV with analyzing the in-season challenge as well, and their little scuffle online with Mark Martin after both Trotta and Larry McReynolds were thought to have called out Mark Martin for having spoken out about returning to the full season playoff or championship season format, I should say. And there was a little scuffle online about that with them arguing with Mark Martin on whether they meant to include him, but Larry McReynolds clarified that he was talking about a certain driver who is an active Cup Series driver and that does not have a championship, because that was what Larry McReynolds said in the episode. While Danielle Trotta just went ahead and said and replied to Mark Martin and said that he was just really hoping that NASCAR does not go back to the full season championship format and instead goes and continues with the playoff format, the current playoff format they have, because it entertains the fans the most. While Mark Martin was asking that NASCAR just meets it in the middle and satisfies the really big needs of the majority of the fans. And he was really working for what the majority of fans wanted for the new playoff format. Now we're hearing reports that Chase Elliott, who did an interview with The Athletic's Jeff Gluck, and says that NASCAR should just go back to the full season championship format as well. We've had a really good and competitive battle to the regular season over, correct me if I'm wrong, the last 2 or 3 years. He continued by saying, quote, "If you take that as your sample over the first 26 weeks, it looks pretty solid to me." And by it, he's saying the full points season format. He continued to say, "The system will be just fine if you had a full season. And if somebody runs away with it, so what? Let's celebrate the fact that somebody ran away with it. That somebody was just that good. Motorsports does not have to be like everybody else to be successful, and I'll stand by that till I get done." Now, I do kind of agree with what Chase Elliott said in the second to last quote he said by saying he's fine with someone who runs away with it because it really shows that they ran away with it, and it's really cool to see. NASCAR has a humongous gap when it comes to superstars, and I would say Chase Elliott might be the closest thing we have, as well maybe Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin maybe. In the world of NASCAR, there are some superstars, but beyond that, in the world of sports, NASCAR doesn't really have a current superstar. Yes, you have guys like Dale Earnhardt Sr., Richard Petty, the King. You have Dale Earnhardt Jr., some of the most recognizable names in the world, in the sports world. But right now, in current NASCAR, we really don't have that. So I think that when Chase Elliott is saying that if someone runs away with it, that's okay. And that really shows that maybe a new superstar is emerging. And come to think of it, those superstars like Dale Earnhardt Sr. or Richard Petty, they became superstars because of the full season playoff format. Because the playoff format, the current playoff format we have now, was not a thing back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And Chase Elliott saying that NASCAR does not have to be like every other sport to be successful, he is really saying what Mark Martin said earlier this week when he was arguing with Danielle Trotta. Mark Martin also called out all the TV partners of NASCAR as well, saying that they don't know how NASCAR works and really they only know stick and ball sports. By the way, that was not an actual quote. I was kind of just paraphrasing what he said there because I cannot find what he said online right now. But there you go. And I've made my thoughts on the current playoff format known. I made it known in the last episode. If you want to hear that, it goes in the last episode as well. And I'll say it again on this episode as well that I think NASCAR should, one, get rid of the one race winner take all championship finale. They should make it a 3-race round like every other round, so it rewards consistency as well as get rid of winning you're in. Just have top 16 in regular season points, make the playoffs, but have that emphasis on winning by giving a point bonus or a slight payout bonus as well. So if you can do that to emphasize winning with keeping the consistency factor of NASCAR in there, I think that's a good move. But those are my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Now, moving on to the final story of the episode, we just got a rumor coming out from Colby Evans on X when he said that Spire Motorsports is selling off a lot of their truck series fleet and with a lot of different track types and engines as well. Then Breakcard replied to that report on X and said, expect Spire to go Xfinity racing in 2026. Now, Spire has not put out an official statement on whether they will be downsizing their truck series team and going Xfinity series racing. Spire already has a ARCA Menard series team with an ARCA Menard series driver. They've had some other teams. They had like a satellite team with Rev Racing and Nick Sanchez a couple years ago before they had to fold. And remember, Spire Motorsports bought pretty much all of their truck series fleet from Kyle Busch Motorsports and Kyle Busch after they closed a couple years ago. And this is all off the back of a rumor from last week where there's a rumor that Andres Perez de Lara, or I think he goes by Andres Perez now, who is last year's ARC Menard Series champion, might be out of ride as Spire's performance this year in the Truck Series has definitely gone downhill a little bit. I mean, Raja Caruth, their best driver from last year, has kind of tumbled down the point standings, and he only got his first win at Nashville a couple weeks ago. Now, I'm not really surprised. I mean, Spire added the '07 truck, which is their fifth truck this year. So, I mean, I'm not really surprised that their performance did take a little bit of a dip. So, maybe Spire selling off the 77. I really hope they should. I really think they should sell off the '07 truck because that truck being there is kind of obsolete at this point. Because I do think Andres Perez, Raja Caruth, and then you have a rotating door of drivers in the 7 and '07. Mix that in with a Corey Day, possibly full time next year. I think that's a pretty good truck series team. But maybe two full time trucks is kind of the best thing they can do right now because in the Cup Series side of things, they're doing pretty well. I mean, Carson Osvar has definitely taken a little bit of a dip. Justin Haley has definitely taken a little bit of a dip. And then Michael McDowell has also taken a little bit of a dip. So then again, maybe it is time to point fingers and maybe start to look at everything and say, okay, what do we need to get rid of? What is something we have an excess of? But at the same time, them maybe going Xfinity Series racing doesn't make a lot of sense, but maybe they kind of want to be that next Hendrick team, kind of that next Chevy powerhouse, because right now they kind of are operating as a mini Hendrick. They are a three-car team in the Cup Series. They have a Truck Series team. They have run Xfinity in the past when Carson Osvar was just trying to get his feet wet before he signed that extension or that multi-year deal with Spire Motorsports. They are getting their engines from Hendrick Motorsports right now, so I don't know. Maybe Spire does want to be that next Chevrolet team, and that would involve having a Chevrolet pipeline to the Cup Series. If I did have to guess, though, that if they do go Xfinity Series racing, I do expect that Raja Caruth would probably get that seat. He has made a couple Xfinity Series starts in the past with Alpha Prime Racing. He just made a start with Jordan Anderson Racing at Dover as well, and was pretty impressive. He was not bad there, and he's made some starts with Hendrick Motorsports in the number 17 car. So I think that makes sense. I think Raja is due for a promotion as well. And Corey Day, I think you got to get him his feet wet. You got to give him his feet wet. I know he's been doing that a little bit this year with Spire in the Truck Series and some other teams. But I think you put Corey Day full time in the Truck Series alongside maybe you have that all-star truck with Kyle Busch mixing in there, Corey LaJoy, maybe Brendan Queen, who's been tearing it up in the Truck Series. And Brendan Queen does want to go Truck Series racing, so maybe you have three full-time trucks, like the 71, the 77, the '07 or 7, whatever number Spire chooses to go with. You have Brendan Queen, who's been pretty solid on the short tracks. He's competing for the ARCA Menard Series Championship. You have Corey Day in there as well. And then you have that all-star truck that will make the team some money with Kyle Busch, some Hendrick drivers maybe mixed in there. Maybe you have a guy from Xfinity Series come down there. Maybe you have a Spire development driver because they do have an ARCA Menard Series team. I don't know. Maybe Spire Motorsports can become that next pipeline team, that next Chevy powerhouse, if you will. So, those are my thoughts on the latest rumors. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these rumors and news stories. Make sure you give us a follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on YouTube, which we just added a couple months ago, so go check it out as well. Subscribe to the show. Go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. That's the other show I co-host with my buddy Miles Shield, who was actually on this NASCAR show a couple weeks ago after the Atlanta race. So go check out Talking Sports. Go subscribe to that channel, or go listen to it, I guess I should say. And that's all I got for you guys today. I will see you tomorrow night after the Brickyard 400 from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I am praying it does not get rained out tomorrow. I'm really hoping it does not get rained out tomorrow. But that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you in the next episode.